What's going on, drivers? Welcome to Trucking with Old Snapper, and I am Old Snapper. Anyway, I hope all of you out there doing great, staying safe and staying out of trouble. In this video here, I'm down in Arkansas. I believe Mansfield was the name of the town, and I'm tarping a load, this being my fourth tarp load, full tarp load in a row. But thankfully on this one, I only had to use 2 of my tarps. The other 3, I had to use all 3 of my tarps. You know, here at Wylie, we use a 3 tarp system, you know, so if you're going to do the whole trailer, it takes all 3 tarps in order to do it. But hey, it's all good. You know, give a little update on EW Wylie, my time here so far. You know, I'm approaching, I think I'm at 90 days. I'd have to look at it. I believe I'm right at 90 days over here. It's been all right. They're really good on home time. I'm still learning them. I'm sure they're still learning me. But I can say the home time has been probably my favorite thing. A day and a half per week, you know, that extra half a day adds up. You know, normally I take a week off at a time, sometimes a little bit more. But I try to take enough time off to feel like I've had time off. 2 or 3 days at the house just don't cut it. That's why I don't like regional jobs. Man, that bouncing in and out. You're only there for a couple days or a 34-hour reset. I feel like I was never off, you know. When I take a week off or, you know, 10 days off, whatever, I feel like I've had time off. I feel like I've had a good break from the truck, you know, and it kind of helps me reset, come back out recharged and ready to go. So that part of EW Wylie I've really enjoyed. Now, Wylie's got their things that I find kind of strange. You know, I don't know if you saw my short about this SSD, specialized step deck. That's one of the things I find kind of strange. You know, I mean, since I've picked up a specialized trailer, I'm doing more regular loads than anything. I'm tarping more than anything, to be honest. Out of the last 7 loads, I have tarped 6, you know, so I'm running well over 90% tarping with a specialized trailer, and that's kind of confused me. You know, one of the reasons that I jumped on the list to grab one is because I thought it would increase different types of freight more. You know, I thought maybe I'd get a little bit more oversized. Maybe I'd get a little bit more equipment, things like that, you know, or things that actually require the use of a specialized trailer. But that's not the case. You know, it's not the case at all. The only real benefit that's come from it is I'm not doing swaps with people out here. So I'm not getting messed up tarps. I'm not getting messed up trailers. I'm not changing trailers at the yard, getting messed up trailers. I'm not doing dropping hooks at customers that have dropping hooks. Mostly your gypsum, some of your lumber places, but mostly gypsum will have dropping hooks sometimes. I'm not having to deal with that and getting messed up trailers that got lights out and air leaks and all of that. Plus, I mean, I got my trailer, so I know this trailer. I'm learning this trailer, and any of you that have ever been married to a trailer know you learn that trailer. Every little quirk, every little thing about it, you know that trailer just like you know your truck. And that part I've kind of liked, you know, but that's really been the only benefit to it. There is no other benefit to it. I'm not quite sure why Wylie has specialized trailers because we don't haul enough of it. But I guess at one time maybe they did, you know, who knows? Maybe that's something that comes about certain times of the year. You know, there's no telling. But right now, no, it's really. And I'll tell you something else that kind of confuses me about EW Wylie. On the regular fleet, we got regular flatbeds, 53-foot flatbeds. We've got 53-foot step decks. And then we got 53-foot low pro step decks, which here they call SDs. All right. The regular step decks they call STs. So if you pick up an SD, it's a low pro step deck. In my personal opinion, just me, you know, my opinion from my experience on the road, that SD trailer, that low pro trailer should be a specialized fleet. You know, because in order to get on a specialized fleet, you have to keep up with your logs the way you're supposed to. You have to have a good safety record, things like that, right? Well, those SD trailers are real easy to get hung up. You can get them hung up in some truck stops. You can get them hung up on railroad tracks. You have to really pay attention to what you're doing. You have to be able to read the terrain really well. You can't be daydreaming with that trailer. If you're daydreaming, just willy-nilly taking turns, following your GPS, you are going to get hung up somewhere. You're going to get stuck. What's really strange is they got that on the regular fleet. you can start at EW this week and pull one of them trailers straight out of orientation if that's what's sitting on the yard. So I mean, I don't know. That just kind of confuses me, but hey, it is what it is. I don't run the company. It's just one of those things within the company that really confuses me. It is truly forced dispatch. And at first I was a little concerned about it because, I mean, at some companies you'll set quite a bit. And I haven't set a whole lot. I've set a couple times, but not a whole lot. They're pretty good at keeping their trucks moving. They're pretty on top of it. Some dispatchers in some areas are a little bit better than others. Here they have a zoned dispatch system. So they got different dispatchers over different parts of the country, which there's a few companies out there that operate like that. Creed operates that way. There's a few others that operate that way. Poly kind of sort of operates that way. I know if you're at certain plants, you'll get different dispatchers than when you're at the main one there in Grand Prairie. So they kind of operate the same way. And like I said, at first I was a little worried about it, but they do pretty well. They do keep the drivers moving. If anything, they probably schedule the loads a little bit tight. Now that's something else that's a different topic. That's something that really frustrates me, and I know it frustrates some other drivers. I know a couple of the drivers I talk to get really frustrated by it. Now, what I'm about to say, I understand why this company does that. They do it to maximize the mileage or maximize the usage of the truck, which thus benefits the driver as well as it benefits the company. But they do it a little bit too tight sometimes, like quite a bit too tight sometimes. I mean, I've had quite a few loads that I didn't have time to stop use the restroom. I didn't have time to stop. If I'd had to use the restroom going to get a load or running a load some days, I would have been late. Ain't no doubt about it. I would have been late. I will say this too, if you call them and tell them you're stuck in traffic or anything like that, they're going to verify it. They are going to look. You had better be stuck in traffic. There's an outward facing camera. They got GPS on the truck. They're going to look. And if they feel that you're not really stuck in traffic that bad or that you could have got around it, they may feel a certain way about that. But they do schedule these loads pretty tight sometimes. Sometimes there's not a whole lot of wiggle room. And I mean, that the part that gets frustrating is if you're an experienced flatbedder, like when you see where you're going, a lot of these places we've been to with other companies, and I've had appointments on loads that I know personally that there is no appointment on that load. I've been there before. Sometimes they don't even know the load is coming. I mean, as crazy as that sounds, you will show up with a flatbed sometimes and they're like, oh crap, we weren't expecting this for 2 weeks. Especially equipment, especially when you're hauling equipment. Like oh man, we didn't know it was coming yet. It got here a little earlier than expected. Now they're still going to take it. They're always in a hurry to get it as soon as you get there. That doesn't change. But you'd be surprised. And even if they did have an appointment, normally it's a day. Like that, let's say you're hauling a Caterpillar excavator to a dealership. The dealership may say, hey, we want that on the 12th of February. Well, they don't have a time. Just any time during the day while they're open on the 12th of February is when they want it. Now, at EW Wylie, the way I have kind of noticed that they do it is they say, okay, well, the driver can be there at 7 o'clock in the morning on the 9th. So we're going to put an appointment there, 7 o'clock in the morning on the 9th. Because we just figured up his hours, time it takes to get loaded, run that load. He needs 2 breaks in order to make it. Yeah, he should be there at 7 o'clock in the morning. And then they're going to send you that, and they're going to call it an appointment. And even though you as a driver, you may know, hey, I know this ain't got no appointment on it. I know it's an all-day thing, and you don't really pay attention to that appointment. Well, you kind of need to at this company, because if you don't, we have a app, and it keeps track of our miles, service failures, all that stuff, right? And even though there may not have actually been a real-world appointment on that load, if you don't make it there when Wylie says you should have made it there, you're going to get a service failure. They're going to put in a service failure. So that's just something to keep in mind. You want to try to make it and communicate if things are changing. If you can't make it at that time, you want to communicate that. But yeah, they have gotten a little bit too tight sometimes on the loads. Every once in a while, you'll get a load that's real loose. And I don't know why that happens. I don't know if maybe there actually is an appointment on that one and they couldn't change it or shorten it up. But Every now and then you'll get one that's a little bit too loose, but it's pretty rare. Like, I'd say in the 3 months or so that I've been here, I can only think of 2 times that the loads were kind of loose. It's usually the other way. It's usually too tight. But hey, it is what it is. They lease these trucks. They don't own them. So they're trying to maximize the profitability of each truck. I understand it. I completely get it. I just wish sometimes they would be a little bit more realistic with those appointments that they want to create. Another thing that I don't care for so much is we don't have pre-pass. So if the scale's open, we're going in it, and that kind of sucks because that puts you on the radar. You get more inspections. You're getting looked at more by DOT, and you may not even have anything wrong. Just DOT says, well, I'm going to get the third truck that comes in today. If you happen to be the third truck coming in, you're going to get got. You're going to get pulled around. When you don't have pre-pass, you're exposed to that more. So you're going to get more inspections, So now the equipment here is in pretty good shape. So you should have no problem passing one. But I just don't like being exposed to them as much. I want to deal with DOT as little as possible. I don't want to have to go into every scale. Here, though, if it's open, got to go in it. We don't have pre-pass. I don't understand why we don't have pre-pass, but we don't. That's just the way it is. The speed of our trucks is another thing that'll kind of get on some people's nerves. I know it gets on mine sometimes. We're at 65. 65 on the cruise, 65 on the pedal. At 65 miles an hour, you're not passing anybody. Maybe a prime lease driver, one of them, or an owner-operator, maybe that's trying to save fuel, so he's running a little slower. But other than that, you're not passing anybody. You're in the right lane all day long. So it lessens the probability of an accident because you're lessening the amount of times you're going to change lanes and stuff like that. But man, at 65 miles an hour, you can go down the road. You can watch grass grow as you're going down the road and with a tight appointment in 65 miles an hour, it's a little bit more stress sometimes. You're trying to get it done because if you hit traffic or you get stuck in road construction or anything like that, when you're governed at 65, it doesn't take much to drop your average speed down to 50 or 45 or even lower, depending on how bad the backup was or how slow the road construction was or how much of it you hit, right? And that kind of sucks, but hey, it is what it is. You get used to it after a while. I know some drivers, they just absolutely refuse to run that slow. They don't want to work for anybody that's running that slow, but that's the way it is. That's what we run here. It can get a little bit frustrating. It's one of the things I really don't like. I wish we were at 68 at least, but hey, it is what it is. I don't own it. It's just my opinion. It's one of the things I really don't care for much. One of the things I do like here, though, is everyone at the office is cool as hell. So far that I've dealt with personally, everybody's been cool as hell. My fleet manager is awesome. The dispatchers I've dealt with are awesome. So, I haven't had any complaints. Nobody's called me treating me like crap or anything like that. They get right on the edge of micromanaging sometimes, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's overbearing like it is at some companies, but they do get right on the edge of it. But obviously with scheduling the loads as tight as they do, they're going to have a little bit of micromanaging in there. And scheduling loads that tight is micromanaging in a way. But I haven't had anybody call me if I stop to grab something to eat and say, hey, what are you doing there? Are you going to get back on the road? I haven't had anybody call me 5 minutes before my 10-hour break is up and say, hey, just making sure you're up. I haven't had any of those type of issues, but it's not micromanaged on that level like it is at some outfits out here. But it's right on the edge with as tight as they schedule the loads. But everybody in the office has been great. They treat me really great. Nobody's been disrespectful. I don't disrespect them. They don't disrespect me. That part's been awesome. I've had a really good experience with just about everybody I've dealt with down there at the office. As far as the length of haul goes, I think on the website, the average that they claim is 1,200 miles per load is what they claim their average is. That would probably be about right. I get a load every now and then that's short. 1,000 miles, 700 to 1,000 seems to be the majority of them, but you'll get some in there enough to raise that average up. You might get a 1,500 mile run or an 1,800 mile run. I've even had one that was 2,000 miles or a little bit more than that. It's been a little while. That's back when I first started, but they've got some pretty long runs here. That I do like it's in the mix. I love a 2,000 mile run. I like anything pretty much over 1,000 miles. And in flatbed, that's refreshing, because I know some of you out there might be working for Decker or TMC or some of these companies where you're picking up today and delivering tomorrow. You know, your loads are 500 or 600 miles long almost all the time. It can wear you out. It gets old real fast, and it messes your checks up when your loads are that short all the time, especially if you got any kind of wait time at all. It can really mess your check up. And if you're tarping a lot of loads like I have been recently, if you're running short loads, then you're tarping every day. You're going to untarp and retarp every single day, and that sucks, and that can really burn a driver out. Haven't had that issue here, and I've enjoyed that part of EW Wylie so far. Now, kind of a funny story from orientation. One of the guys, I think his name was Ben, was given one of his spills one day, and he said, he said, we don't haul garbage freight here. And I remember thinking, cool, they don't haul garbage freight here. Well, to a flatbed driver, which Ben has been a flatbed driver, I'm surprised he didn't snap to this. But to a flatbed driver, when we hear a company say we don't haul garbage freight, we assume that means they don't haul lumber or cheap freight. They don't haul cheap flatbed freight, run-of-the-mill flatbed freight. That's garbage freight, right? What he actually meant was they don't haul garbage literally. Like, we don't haul garbage literally, which kind of caught me off guard, because I've been doing flatbed. I've done flatbed many times over the years, here and there, and I've never hauled garbage on a flatbed. I've hauled recyclables on a dry van in a dry box, but I've never hauled garbage, period, out here. I don't know what flatbed company is. Maybe Western Express. I mean, that'd be about the only one I could see that would do it. But we do haul what flatbed drivers call garbage freight, which is your cheaper, low-end freight. It's usually the freight that most companies use to get them back to better paying freight, get them back into a better lane. But here we do haul quite a bit of it. I've hauled, well, right now I'm on my fourth lumber load in a row, you know, and this lumber load I got back here is a cheap one, boy. It's, I forget exactly what it's called, but I mean, it's cheap. You know, the one before this was 2x4s. There ain't no money in 2x4s, and, you know, but I've hauled enough lumber in the last week and a half to build a whole neighborhood. I could have started a little town with as much lumber as I've hauled in the last week and a half. On that same note, it can get a little scary sometimes, because most of the places I go, I see Western Express. We seem to have the same customer base, Western Express and here. I've been quite a few places where Western Express has been pretty deep. You know, it's even had me kind of questioning sometimes, are we a part of the same company? You know, which scares the crap out of me, because I don't want anything to do with Western Express. You know, I try to stay away from them out on the road. Most people that tend to work there because they can't work anywhere else. They've either changed jobs too much, or, you know, they've had an accident, or maybe their record's a little bit messed up. But, you know, most people that work there don't work there by choice. It's not a top paid carrier out here. So it's going to make you a little bit nervous when you see Western Express at every shipper or receiver you go to, you know. It gets you questioning some things sometimes. But anyway, that's been pretty much my update. The money's been decent. I mean, it's been good. It's what I expected. The miles are good. The freight's been okay. People down at the office are treating me pretty decent. You know, so all in all, it's been a pretty pleasant experience. Home time is great. Like I said, that's probably my favorite thing. They get me home on time every time, and don't bother me while I'm at home. And I really enjoy that. So all in all, I would recommend EW to some people. Now, with that being said, I had a guy, he reached out to me in email a couple days ago, and apparently he was looking at both EW Wylie and Hunt Transportation. He emailed me because he knows I used to work at Hunt Transportation. He knows I currently work at EW. So he kind of wanted to pick my brain. Me and him talked for a little while, but during the time of talking to him, I realized, you know, like, hey, what this guy's looking for, he's going to be happier at Hunt. Now, granted, if I could talk him into coming to EW Wylie, that benefits me. That's a $2,500 sign-on bonus. You know, they're going to give me $1,000 after he's been here, I think, 30 days, and then they break the rest of it up, you know, in $750 payments, the rest of it. But, I mean, it benefits me. But, you know, I could just tell him talking to him. So I told him, I was like, man, I can just tell by what you're looking for that Hunt's probably going to be your best shot. That doesn't benefit me to tell you that, but Just being straight up honest with you, you know. And I've had people message me about poly. I had a guy this morning, or last night and this morning, asking me questions about poly. He's thinking about going over there, you know. So no matter what the case is, you know, you see my older videos. If you're interested in Crete or hunt or poly trucking or whatever, you're interested in getting into the oil field, just because I'm at EW don't mean I won't answer those questions or talk to you about those companies. I don't have a problem doing that at all. You can drop down in the comments and ask me about another company, and if I can answer your question, I will. You know, and if you get to talking to me, in my experience at other companies, I think that you'll fit there. I'd rather you go where you're happy. You know, I'm making good money here. I don't need the recruitment bonus. I'm not trying to live off recruitment bonuses. You know, so if you're going to be happy and stay somewhere, it doesn't do me any good to recruit you to come here if I don't think you're going to stay here. You know, it actually probably makes me look bad if I talk you into coming here and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the road, you bounce out. That's not a good look at the office, right? So I'd rather you go where you're happy. Go where you will be more happy, you know, regardless of whether that benefits me financially or not. That's just kind of the way I am. I've always been that way on YouTube. So I try to put as much out there that I can that's legit to what I'm going through or what's happening. You know, I've talked about the good and the bad at Crete. I've talked about the good and the bad at Hunt. Just like here, I talk about the good and the bad. What I like, what I don't like. Some drivers will not have a problem with the things I don't like, and they want to come over here. Hey, that's great, you know. And some drivers will say, I'm not doing that. You know, and that's fine too. You do what makes you happy. You do what fits with you. You know, you got a family to take care of at home. You got a life to live, and you got to do what fits you. Anyway, that's my video for today. Y'all take care. Stay safe. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and keep trucking.